Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is easy smoked glazed ham. Well, for the last several years, every holiday season, we've been coming at you with a new ham recipe. We've done our hams cured from scratch, from fresh. We've cooked them fresh. We've done a lot of different things. And if you want to put a lot of work into a ham, you should go check those out. But if you're looking for something that requires a little less effort, but still gives you a really tasty product in the end, that's what we're gonna try and deliver today. We're starting with a spiral cut cured ham. It's been smoked. This is the most accessible ham you can buy. I see them at the store all the time. But we're gonna take that product and turn it into something really tasty. So this is the ham we're talking about. It's got that shank that runs down. This top part's one big section, and then the bottom part is sliced to make things super easy. That bone runs all the way down through to the bottom. So if you've bought one of these hams and perhaps it came with a little packet of dry ingredients, you can throw that away. We're gonna make our own glaze. If it came covered in some sort of liquid, rinse it off. We're gonna start from scratch. So first things first, we're gonna get a little seasoning on this, and we also want to just add a little bit of our jalapeno honey mustard as a binder. And you're gonna see that honey mustard again when we go to make our apple bourbon glaze here in a little bit. But the next thing we're gonna do is hit this with a little bit of barbecue rub, and we're using the Plowboys Yardbird, just a great go-to pork, chicken, everything barbecue rub. And we're not gonna go overboard because, like I said, this ham has already been affected by some other processes, so we don't wanna overdo it. Today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's Loaded Wichita Offset. I've got a chimney full of hot charcoal. We're gonna dump that out as our coal bed. We're gonna get our logs rolled on top and get this smoker up to temp. So we'll start off with a couple splits of oak wood on top of our charcoal. I'm gonna go ahead and throw one more on this front side, keeping some separation so we can warm this up so when we're ready to, we roll it over, it bursts into flames, we get clean smoke. Now the smokers come up to temp. On the fire side of our offset, it's over 300 degrees, and we're gonna be smoking there a little bit hotter than normal today because really we're just adding smoke flavor and warming this ham back up. So over 300 on the right side, over by the stack it's a little bit lower, about 250. That's gonna even out a little bit. If you're cooking on any other kind of grill, just think in your mind 300 to 325 range. So we'll go pretty close to center here. Got my layers starting to come apart on me here. I'm gonna go shank side to the fire because this is the part that's gonna take the longest to heat up, so a little more direct heat there is not a bad idea. And at least initially here, we're gonna leave this straight on the rack and let it smoke to form a nice bark on the outside. Well, our ham's been on for about 3 hours now. The internal temperature's risen up to about 120, and that's when we wanna start adding our glaze. So we're gonna mix up a glaze really quick, paint it on the outside, and then we're just gonna continue to do this every 30 minutes or so until we hit our target internal temperature of 155. So you can see we've got some great color going on. Those layers are starting to open up, which is awesome because as we start to brush this on here, all that glaze is just gonna soak into this. So for this next portion of the cook, we wanna put this into a pan. We've got great bark and color on here now, a lot of smoke flavor added to it, but we wanna be able to catch the juices and the glaze so they don't just drip off and burn up. We're gonna have that juice in the bottom to dip our slices in at the end. So we're gonna do kind of an apple bourbon glaze here. We're gonna start off with a cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna add to that a 1/4 cup each of apple juice and apple cider vinegar. Then we're gonna do another 1/4 cup of that Big Rick's jalapeno honey mustard that we put on the outside of the ham. We're also gonna do a 1/4 cup of bourbon. And last, about a tablespoon of our pit fire hot sauce. So we're gonna give this a whisk. If this is something where you wanna make sure that you cook off all the alcohol, then definitely just throw it in a pan and bring it up to a simmer and you're good. Otherwise, you can just start basting from here. So we're gonna come right over the top. Especially this first layer, we'll give it a nice dousing of the glaze. And it looks pretty liquid now, but it really tacks up nicely on the surface of the ham. Really work it into all those slices there. So we're just gonna close this up. We'll set a timer for 30 minutes, be back to glaze it again. In the meantime, we're just gonna keep an eye on our fire, maintaining that 300-degree temperature. We're just over 5 hours into our smoke now, been glazing the ham every 30 minutes or so. It's looking beautiful and it's come up to temp. Look at that beautiful color and that nice sheen. That's all coming from that glaze. We're gonna hit it with just a little bit more before we pull it off. It kind of can tack up from the residual heat while it's resting. Now if we come in here to check our internal temperature, just going right down into that deepest part there. 155. We're there. We've given the ham just a little bit of rest time here to cool down so we can handle it a little bit easier. Let's get it out of the pan and carve it up. So we're not gonna get rid of those juices because there's a ton of flavor in there. Well, what we wanna do is we're gonna separate the slices from the chunked meat here, and then we're gonna run it back through that juice. But right now what's going on is we've got this bone that's going like straight this way, and you can see it down here on the bottom, see right there? So we'll just take our carving knife and we're gonna work up through the layers around this bone as best we can and separate out those slices. All right, so at that finishing temperature, these slices are still very juicy, but safely cooked and reheated all the way through. So we're just gonna throw our slices back into that warm liquid from the pan. Some of these big ones over here, we can go ahead and slice those up a little bit, at least cut them in half. Now the rest of this, we can kind of just work off here and cut into chunks. You're gonna see the seams between the muscles. That's usually the easiest place to follow. Oh yeah, some of that's just tender enough to shred up. Well, it's super tender. It's got a great smoke aroma to it coming off that stick burner. All right, we're just gonna put it on the platter like we would serving dinner. Make sure we're running all those slices through the juices. And then you got your chunks. And look at the bark on those chunks, just beautiful. That glaze really tacked up on there. Top it all off with that liquid gold. That looks nice. Let's get a taste. I'm going for the chunk. Oh man. That glaze in that bark is so good. So smoky, sweet, salty, really well balanced, and just so tender, juicy, delicious. I mean, this is so easy. We did this in a matter of 5 hours, so it takes a little bit of time. But you add that extra smoke, that extra flavor to the outside of a store-bought, just ready-to-go ham, and it just transforms it. I'm gonna get some of this sliced stuff too. It's got a nice little fat cap on it. Oh yeah, super tender, super juicy. And we're able to just load that flavor in there. It's just at the edges at first, just working that glaze into the edges, but when all that catches in the pan and you run it back through there, the flavor just goes throughout. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comments section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All Things Barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.